Good morning to all of you. It's good to be with you again. It's been a while. I've been out and about. I've been going to different deaneries, different regions of our diocese. I was in Conrad for 8 days, just a week ago, and I leave tomorrow for Kalispell for 8 days and just go to all the parishes. My hope is to visit all 58 parishes and 37 missions by Christmas. I was supposed to get it done 6 months after being your bishop, but took a little while, got a little off track here with COVID. But it's good to be with you and to be with the Universal Church today. We're embarking as a whole church on something we've never done before. And you can't say that often in 2,000 years history of the church. The Holy Father is asking for the largest consultation in human history. Not a small undertaking. And that includes not just all the Catholics. He's asking us to reach out to all the baptized in the world in a very particular way. Because from baptism, all of this starts. And what he's starting is a 2-year process and it's called a Synod on Synodality. Let me explain. Synod comes from the Greek word synodos, which one of the meanings is to journey together. It's about a journey. So a synod on synodality is a journey together to figure out how well we are journeying together. We might think we're doing a good job of journeying with you as the church, but is that your experience? And he's asking us to be very creative in looking for ways to have the people have a chance to reflect on that, to beg the Holy Spirit to show us what's happening in the life of the church for the third millennium, and how can we journey better together. Obviously, if we're on a journey, we're going somewhere. And are we? Are we going somewhere? Are we on our way to Jesus Christ and his kingdom in heaven? Is that on the forefront of our minds as we journey together through life, that we're not just wandering around, that we're going to the promised land, that we're on our way to heaven together, and how well are we doing that? So it's going to be a 2-year process. Every cathedral throughout the world today, or these days, is having an opening mass for the Synod. The Pope had it last week in Rome, and then in November, we're now doing the preparation. And during the season of Advent, we'll have an opportunity to reach out all over the community, across our diocese, to see what's going on. So we'll have an opportunity. We're going to do it deanery-based, so 6 different areas, but there's also going to be some online surveys you can take. The questions are very general. It's to see what's stirring. The protagonist, the actor, the main mover in all this is the Holy Spirit. Spirit of God, which is the life of the church in time, right? The life of the church in time is guided by, enlivened by the third person of the Trinity. But it's also our common baptism that we then start to belong to the family of God. What's it mean to be brothers and sisters in a family of God? And that church is that family. Our natural families, the movements within the church. Already in the early church, believers were addressed as brothers and sisters. The reality of our baptism that changes our whole identity. And are we living from the new identity? So we're going to have some wonderful opportunities to see what's happening together in this family. Now, this synod, this journey together, is not going to end by changing the dogma of the church. That's not what this is about. It's about how can we better journey together. And as soon as we get off track and say, well, we think there should only be 6 sacraments instead of 7, well, we can talk about that later. It's not going to happen, but we can talk about it. But that's not what this is about. This is about my own experience of this journey, and how can we better journey with the people of God across the world. The teaching authority of the Pope and bishops with the lay faithful throughout the centuries, right? So the saints, living and deceased, all united, actually are unable to err in faith. The sensus fidelium, that we're in it together and that your faith strengthens mine and the Holy Father's and vice versa. And then when we're all in union together, we can be bold on taking steps forward. I've been saying when I've been going around the deaneries, we can't keep doing it the same way. We can't keep doing it the same way. Something's not working. When we went from the year 2000, 66,000 Catholics, to 20 years later, having 44,000 Catholics. Something's not working. We're losing 1,000 Catholics a year. And that's just not my problem or theirs. It's all of ours. We're called to be in communion with each other, then to discern our steps forward, and then to go out to the whole world and tell the good news. And to tell the good news. In a particular way, the Holy Father is asking us to hear the voices, especially of the young, of women, of minorities, the discarded, and the excluded. No one should feel in this process, in this journey, that they're not part of the family, that they're excluded because of the way they live, or the way they have lived, or what they're up to. If we take seriously our baptism, that we are part of the family of God, yeah, then some family members do stuff that makes us scratch our head. But guess what? They're still our family. They're still brothers and sisters. And do they and we experience it that way? So even the priests are going to get a chance to see how well they think the church journeys with them. I remember seminarians always laughing. The church gives great attention to the seminarians until they're ordained. Then they throw them out there and say, go swim by yourself. And that's not the case, right? So we have to make sure that we're journeying well with everyone in the life of the church, and that it's not just my job. It's not just my vocation. It's not just my call. It's going to be a great time for all of us to say, how well do we journey with our Pope, with our bishop, with our priests, with our neighbors that we don't get along with? Just looking through a lens with the eyes of faith more than a political party, with the eyes of a family more than just an institutional structure, with the eyes of hope and joy, rather than thinking the world should just all burn in hell. Jesus didn't come to condemn the world, but to save the world. Is that our viewpoint as well? Are we trying to bring healing and hope to the world? Or are we just writing off half of it, saying, you're all crazy? Are we hopeful? Are we God's instruments? Are we the instruments of the Spirit? That we're not to discard, that we're imitating Jesus Christ, who came not to condemn the world, but to save it. Thank goodness. That's us. And are we arrogant and proud, or humble and a missionary going out? Going out. So on these journeys I've been on, it's been very touching. The people that I've encountered at the gas station, at grocery stores, restaurants, and some of these most profound encounters were with non-practicing Catholics, people who haven't prayed for decades, and the encounters were powerful, amazing. And so I'm going to ask all of you, take a step forward in faith, Pray for the outpouring of the Holy Spirit. Let's see what happens in the life of the church when we take more seriously, that we're in this journey together, where we do not need to be afraid, and that we look at Sunday Mass as the center of the life of the church. The Eucharist makes the church, and the church makes the Eucharist. We are bound together with Jesus himself. Look what the Blessed Mother and the Holy Spirit did together. The Blessed Mother is the icon of the synodal path of journeying together. That's what she did. You see those first days of the life of the church, she was right in there, begging for an outpouring of the Holy Spirit, holding the apostles together, right? Encouraging them. She was active, not just kind of passive, and she's still not. If we really believe what St. Peter said, the first pope, to God 1,000 years are as a day, and a day are as 1,000 years. That means 2 days ago, Jesus Christ rose from the dead. 2 days ago, the Blessed Mother was begging for outpouring of the Holy Spirit on the apostles for Pentecost. Does our faith feel 2 days old? Because our faith is not old. It's ever young, ever new, ever life-giving. I think too many of us, me included, have been satisfied with an old faith. Our faith is ever young. So, as you take a step in faith and you talk about Jesus Christ to someone, or they ask you to pray for them, 2 days ago he rose from the dead. Is that how we seem when we go out of church? Because if we did, this place would be packed constantly. Because we have the pearl of great price, Jesus Christ, looking at us, looking at him as his brothers and sisters.